Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass. Thank you for watching this Ag Forecast, brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. Our software gives growers the insights to make the best decisions possible about their operations. Well, we've been hearing lots and lots of reports about herbicide drift causing some major damage on soybeans. And one of the things we want to extend to our Morning Farm Report users is some analysis at the field level to tell you what the conditions look like, especially with the winds that could have caused that drift. So we are providing hour by hour data at field level to anyone who emails drift@agrible.com. That is a Morning Farm Report subscriber. We're just trying to help you analyze the situation that potentially caused the damage to those beans. Again, that email drift@agrible.com. Well, over the last 7 days, all attention was given to the chance for these thunderstorms to move through parts of the Corn Belt that have been very, very dry. And those parts I'm talking about, the Dakotas, of course, they're in horrific drought in some locations. But we're also talking about big chunks of Nebraska, big chunks of Kansas, Iowa, central Illinois, and southern Illinois. Those are also regions that have been very, very dry. We know that the eastern part of the Corn Belt, getting over into Indiana and parts of Ohio, have been very, very wet over the last 30 to 60 days. But these were the regions that needed to get rain in order to really survive this growing season. And when you step back and look at the map, it looks like, wow, we did get the rain. But I need you to look at this map a whole lot closer. You see, this color shading right here is the half-inch color. And when you have a full crop here and you're dropping a half-inch on it, not very much of that rain is going to make it into the soil. And we know what's important this time of year. It's the plant available water that's in the soil. And what we are not doing is replenishing the deficits in a lot of these fields that have been very, very dry. Now, some locations of the last 7 days got absolutely hammered. There were many reports of severe weather, strong straight line winds, big hail, but the bigger picture, I think, was the flooding. Look at the eastern half of Iowa. This was not an area of concern leading up to this last week, but now we just dumped 8 inches of rain on several big producing counties. Northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin getting hammered with lots and lots and lots of precipitation. But notice the hit or miss nature across a big section of the Corn Belt that was in trouble leading into this last 7 days. So I know that the map looks as though it rained quite a bit, but you need to get down and do some regional analysis, and I want to do that for you. So take a look at this. Here we're looking at the last 60 days of precipitation expressed as a percent of normal. So now we're talking about the last 2 months here. You can see those regions I've been concerned with. Look at this, part of Illinois. Look at this, part of Iowa, the western half of Iowa, Nebraska, the Dakotas, even parts of Minnesota, Kansas. We've had a big section of the Corn Belt really miss out on the rain, and that's the water that's not in the soil that is available to the plant. Now, I know it's a function of soil type as well, but this is a key factor to surviving July. Now, we have had some incredibly heavy rains in parts of Wisconsin. We just talked about this, parts of Illinois, parts of Indiana, and parts of Ohio. But I'm going to show you this map in a little bit different view. This map now shows you the last 60 days in terms of a departure from normal. So now instead of being percent, we're looking at actual inches of precipitation. I just want to show you how many inches behind some locations are. Now, over the weekend, I got a chance to see a lot of fields that were really showing major stress in parts of Iowa. So I'm going to show some stuff from western Iowa here in terms of weather data analysis. So check this out. We're looking at Spencer, Iowa, which is located right about here in kind of northwestern Iowa. This graph begins on the 1st of April and goes all the way till Sunday, just yesterday. And what you can see here in red is the high temperature every day, the low temperature every day in blue, and the averages are these dotted lines. Each bar is a different precipitation event. Now look at what I want you to see here. This dashed line is the 90-degree Fahrenheit line. Since about the beginning of June, many days of 90+ degree weather. At the same time, if you go back to May 23rd to present, it looks like there's some bars of precipitation here, but the total precip from May 23rd up to present here was 3.5 inches of rain. And they went 21 days with no rain, really no measurable rain at all. So when you start to see that that's this section right up and through here, it is really hard to look at a map like this and try to define a large garden spot. You see, in 14, 15, and 16, we could identify these big garden spots. 2017, I can't do that. And that's why I'm really seeing a lot of regional stresses that are adding up to make this year's crop, not going to be another, bin buster. Well, let's talk about then what really caused the markets to move as they opened on Monday. You see, over the weekend, we saw numerous runs from the GFS model, from the European model, that just kept saying the Corn Belt was going to be wet this week. But watch this. This was the 0Z forecast run from Sunday. Watch what I do as I step back in time, showing you the same forecast plots for the same time period. So check it out. Look at how much the model's been bouncing around. If the 0Z run pans out, I mean, my goodness, this is fantastic rain in a place that absolutely needs it. The Dakotas, maybe parts of southeastern Dakota, but North Dakota's looking dry. But watch this. Here was the run before that, the run before that, and the run before that, and then the run from before that. As I go back through these, look at how the models are just bouncing around on where the precipitation is going to be. So my point is to tell you this. Even though the markets were down 7 by the time I made this video late in the night on Sunday night, actually it was early Monday morning, I want you to know that the upcoming precipitation is not set in stone. In fact, this is what the European model is saying. Check it out. Yeah, they got the precipitation in some locations that really don't need too much of it, like this part of Minnesota. They do have some great precip in western Iowa, but again, the European model has been bouncing around with these heavier rains in parts of the Dakotas. My point is simply this. We really don't have a whole lot of trust right now in the model's ability to pick up these regional thunderstorms. And in that case, we have to be watching very, very closely to our short-term weather forecasts to see when and where these storms are going to erupt. There's a good chance we will see storms moving through this area right in through here that I'm highlighting. But we need to be getting more than just another half-inch of rain. We got to get some more soaking, longer-lasting rains. And what I'm saying is coming through here is not a big, organized, long-lasting low-pressure system. It's more of these thunderstorm clusters, which are going to be giving us more hit-or-miss showers and storms. So that's what we're looking at. Now let's kind of diagnose the flow with the jet stream and take a look at temperatures. By Monday, what we're going to be seeing is the jet stream is really kind of staying in kind of an overall kind of northerly ridge pattern through the western states, but it dips down into a pretty decently sized trough over the east. This has broken the heat in the eastern part of the Corn Belt. In fact, look at this. Here's your Monday temperatures. You see 90 stretching from Texas through North Dakota, but look at the eastern Corn Belt. We're getting the relief from the heat, which we haven't had for the last 5 days. Same thing kind of looks for Tuesday. The heat stays in the central plains rather than hitting the eastern half of the Corn Belt. Well, by the time we get into Wednesday, here's that little feature that I'm watching that's going to be bringing in the next chance for showers and thunderstorms into parts of South Dakota, parts of Minnesota, Iowa, and then stretching over to Illinois and then further on to the east. It's this feature here. But as I kind of move through the rest of the week, you can see that the ridge kind of builds back out west. And that's why the heat really doesn't, go too far to the east because of the precipitation maker that's coming through this part of the country. And we're going to start to see our heat kind of rebuild back out west. But by Thursday, kind of stays confined really to the southern states. Well, by the time we get into Friday, look at our flow pattern. Ridge in the Bering Sea, trough in the Gulf of Alaska, ridge out west, broad trough over the east. This is the cooler pattern we're seeing as we get into the end of July. In fact, by the time we get into Monday, the 31st, it's kind of the same story. So that's why if you look at these maps, which come from the CPC, which I think are pretty good maps, although they miss some of the detail, that's why we're seeing these below average temperatures. And I believe this is also contributing to the fact that the markets were down on Sunday in overnight trading. Now, with all of that as our bigger picture, I want you to understand that when I look into the month of August, I do see some times in August where we may see some heat stress, but right now, the predictability of that is pretty low. I use both analog techniques, I look at patterns, and then there's some disagreement in what I'm seeing for the month of August, which means expect continued volatility in the markets because right now they're moving because of weather. To finish, I do want to show you something I'll be presenting at the Ag Info Conference. I'll be speaking on Tuesday afternoon. I want to talk a little bit about this. I haven't shown you much of this year. But with our satellites, we can make what's called a Vegetation Health Index. It's basically looking down from space to kind of judge the characteristics of the plants and see how healthy they look. The top graph is for 2016. The closer you are to 1, which is this color here, the better, or 100%, the better. This is 2017. We can really see the stresses we've seen in Iowa, in parts of Nebraska, and the Dakotas. And what you're seeing here is that, again, it's hard for me to pick out a big garden spot. Well, I just wanted to show you one of the things that we're talking about on Tuesday afternoon at Ag Info. Hope you're there to see that presentation. I'm really looking forward to kind of showing you what I've seen for the whole season as it's evolved. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this forecast. We hope you look forward to Agrible's next Ag Forecast on Thursday. To get Morning Farm Report for your operations, complete with a daily email that shows a snapshot of your field conditions each morning, go to morningfarmreport.com. Sign up for that free account. Full grower accounts are free if you sign up for our Sustainable Yield program or for growers who work with ADM merchandisers. Thank you, and I look forward to talking to you again on Thursday.